There's a paradox that I continue to witness, and truthfully, it troubles me deeply. How is it that someone can recite scripture like a river, flowing effortlessly through memory, quoting the Gita, the Quran, the Torah, the Bible with surgical precision, yet lack even the simplest gesture of kindness? How is it that a man can study the metaphysical sciences, debate the nature of atoms and the behavior of the quantum field, and yet cannot offer a smile to his neighbor, but to lift a finger to help a stranger? We live in an age where knowledge is abundant, but humanity is scarce. I have seen it time and time again. The priest who knows every right but harbors resentment. The imam who can quote every surah, yet cannot sit with the poor. The yogi who meditates 10 hours a day, yet scolds the beggar on the street. The metaphysician who understands chakras and light bodies, but looks down on those still struggling in their awakening. Something is broken in this equation, because real spirituality, true living spirituality, is not about how much you know. It's about how much you embody. You see, there's a fundamental misunderstanding. People often believe that the spiritual part is a virtual ascent, rising up to the heavens, transcending the world, attaining mystical knowledge and divine power. But they forget that the deeper journey is not just upward, it is inward and outward. It is about descending into the heart and extending yourself into the lives of others. The scripture says it clearly, and I must quote it word for word because it cuts to the core. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and I have not charity, I am become a sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. 1 Corinthians. You could speak the language of angels. You could know divine mysteries. But if you lack love, which is the purest expression of humanity, you are just noise. Let that settle in. You are just noise. All your prayers, all your rituals, all your meditations, if they don't translate into love, into real lived compassion for others, then what are they? Let me be real with you. Too many have confused the ego's thirst for superiority with the soul's yearning for union. The ego wants to know more, to be more, to appear more enlightened and to stand above others. But the soul longs to connect, to serve. The soul bows low, not to worship out of fear, but to lift up another. You can tell when someone is living from the ego or the soul. The ego will show you its credentials. The soul will show its scars. The ego will say, look what I've achieved. The soul will whisper, let me sit with your pain. And herein lies the deception. The ego can wear religious clothing. It can masquerade as holy. It can memorize every scripture, text, light incense, chant, fast, meditate, tithe. But if it's not stripped of its arrogance, if it's not pierced with empathy, if it does not fall to its knees in humility, it's still the ego. True spirituality does not begin in the heavens. It begins in the heart. It begins when you see the divine, not only in your meditation room, but in the woman begging for food, in the child crying behind closed doors, in the addict trying to remember their own worth, in the enemy you rather condemned than understand. It is easy to bow to an idol, but can you bow to the humanity in another? You say you want to know God. Start with knowing the sacredness of life itself. Start with the hands that shake, the eyes that weep, the stories that break open in silence. Because here's the truth that religion often forgets and metaphysics often bypasses. Humanity is not a detour on the spiritual path. It is the path. And until we understand this, until we stop using spirituality as an escape or a status symbol, we will continue to perpetuate the very suffering we were meant to heal. I'm not saying knowledge is bad. I'm not saying we shouldn't seek deeper truths, but those truths must be rooted in the soil of compassion, otherwise they become poison. They inflate the ego rather than free the soul. Let me end with this. If your path leads you to the stars but causes you to forget the person beside you, trust me, you have taken the wrong path. So today I challenge you, examine your heart, strip away the titles, set aside the books, look at how you treat others, look at how you treat yourself. That's the mirror of your spirituality. That's your altar. That's your real initiation. Because in the end, the soul doesn't speak in verses or vibrations. The soul only speaks in love. That's my message today. I hope you get this. Namaste.